In our first story, the Volta Region Caucus of Parliament is preparing to meet with the Volta Regional Minister over the recent attacks by the group of separatists pushing for secession of the Volta region from Ghana. Now, this is the latest among efforts underway to find a lasting solution to the tension in parts of the region. My colleague Ivy SETORDZI-V is monitoring the latest developments and joins us live with more. Ivy, has the meeting begun?
The meeting is yet to begin. The meeting, we were told, will start at 12. It's already 12. They are waiting for the regional minister so they can start the meeting. It is expected that the MPs caucus in Parliament will discuss or dialogue with the minister on the possible ways to end this issue of violence going on in the Volta region by the separatist group. So this is the meeting they are going to have. We don't know the details of the meeting yet, but it is about dialoguing with the regional minister on what to do about this issue. So for now, we are waiting for both the regional minister and the MPs to get this meeting started.
So what have the members of parliament been telling you on the side of this?
Well, for now, we wanted to talk to them earlier, but Okujeto Ablakwa told us that unless they speak with the minister, they will not be able to speak to the media. So we should wait for them to have a meeting with the media. Will be in attendance anyway, to have a meeting with the minister. Then, after that, they can address the media.
So before the meeting begins, it's been close to 24 hours since that attack on the STT yard in the regional capital, Ivy. How are the people faring?
For now, Ho in particular is calm. There are lots of military presence, heavy military presence in the town. Last night we saw a lot of military personnel in Ho. In North Town, for example, the town is also calm with a lot of security personnel also there. So for now, everything is calm. But residents, according to them, are still living in fear because of what happened and what they said might happen next. They don't know what will happen next, and they want the government to intervene immediately so that they don't see what happened the last time repeat itself.
Thank you, Ivy SETORDZI-V, for those updates. Now, Ghana does not exist, and there's no document as proof of unification between government and the Western Togoland. In other words, members of the part of the Volta region pushing for secession from Ghana. Now, that's the argument of the former Member of Parliament for Hohoi North, Mr. Kosi Kedem, who is blaming the failure of successive governments to listen to the concerns of the agitating group for the recent disturbances in the Volta region. He spoke on Tuesday night's PM Express with Evans Mensah.
Resolution 1044, we recognize the union, recommended union. The same resolution 1044, UN resolution 1044, invited the British government, which was the administering authority, to take such steps as necessary to bring about the union. Now, so if a trust territory being ruled by the UN and a colony being ruled by Britain are to come into a union, what do? You have to sit the two of them down for them to determine what type of government they will have, what should be their responsibility and obligation and benefit. Such a thing did not happen. No meeting took place between the people of Gold Coast and Togoland, call it conference or meeting or seminar. But what happens is that on the eve of Gold Coast independence, around 4th March, the British government, with the help of the CPP government, just sent troops to Togoland and occupied the place on the pretext that they were quelling rebellion. So the invitation which the UN extended to the British to take such necessary steps, which of course will be constitutional and legal steps, never materialized. Never materialized. Rather, they forcibly integrated Togoland with the Gold Coast.
So
Now, integration means Gold Coast, the Togoland was losing its identity completely, and it was being consumed by Gold Coast. They didn't have any constitutional rights.
So would you say that this current manifestation of this struggle is just a struggle for identity?
Please, let me finish, then you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, because Britain refused to go the full length to implement Resolution 1044, there is no union on the so-called union between Ghana and Togoland. And all that most people are asking for is that, look, you've been with the Gold Coast since 1914.
Mm-hmm.
You rectify the constitutional error and blunder which the British caused. And we go on as usual as brothers and sisters. But what has happened is that the successive governments of Ghana have not had the courage to listen to. They don't have the courage to listen to anything about Togoland. In fact, during Nkrumah's time, the mere mention of the word Togoland will let you.
Let me ask, when you say successive government have not had time to listen to, what are they going to listen to? What is it that they can do for the people?
We are saying there's no union document on a so-called union between Ghana and Togoland. De facto, they are one this thing, but legally, Ghana does.
Now, Mr. Kedem also underscored the essence of a dialogue to promote a peaceful coexistence between government and the group demanding secession of the Volta region.
If somebody says he has a problem, be it constitutional or legal, or even cultural, and you are in a community together, and they say, I have a problem, you invite the person and at least listen to him. Look, I have appeared before the National Reconciliation Commission, 2002, and I presented the petition and drew the attention.
The petition to do what exactly? What were you petitioning for?
That there's no union document on the so-called union.
Let me ask you a question. Are you a secessionist?
Why should I be a secessionist?
It's just a clarity.
That question is provocative.
No, I'm asking. I mean, just so clarity, because people are listening, so that we clarify that. I mean, so what exactly are you asking for in the petition?
I'm saying that there is no union document on the so-called union, so it should be rectified, and we stay together as brothers and sisters.
Okay.
What are you going to do with the secession?
Okay.
I'm saying that we have stayed together since 1914.
So
up to date.
Continue.
So what are you going to secede for?
But because the reason why we're having this is to find a solution. So we want us to stay together. And again, everybody who's listening who may be part of those who started the violence on Friday, what you're saying is that we cannot break apart.
No.
We cannot use violence.
No.
We still need to remain together as one people, correct?
I've been telling people that violence
cannot solve the problem.
Listen, violence, confrontation, repression, they are very powerful. But dialogue, negotiation, and engagement are far more powerful than violence.
Okay.
Now, Vice President of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, Togbi Teprehodo IV, however, describes the attacks by the group as criminal, which require arrest and prosecution.
That what has happened, or the events that happened over the weekend and last night, are all plain criminal acts. I think that's the premise from which we should start all the talk. Mm. And you see, as far as all of us are concerned, even if these people claim to have some case, I don't think that they are bringing that case up in the proper way. We live in a civilized society, and I think that what people ought to do to articulate their grievances is to follow due process. The mere fact that they have resorted to these kinds of acts, which are criminal in nature, for some of us, makes it very difficult for anybody to even throw any sympathy at them. is the starting point of all these discussions. Because if you go on this kind of rampage, you cause bodily injury to people. Death has resulted. And as we have stated in our press statement, innocent people have even been arrested. I don't think this kind of thing augurs well for any group of people who would want to be hurt.
Still on this issue, Board Chair for the Global Partnership for the Prevention of Armed Conflict, Dr. Emmanuel Bombande, says any historical claim made by Western Togoland separatists has been rendered irrelevant by the over 60 years of cohesion and unity that Ghana has enjoyed. He says the separatist group is simply an opportunist organization that is seeking to subvert the will of the people who voted to join Ghana in the plebiscite of 1956. He spoke to me on Prime Morning on Joy Prime TV.
The time that has elapsed has made the union to be irrelevant in the context of today's history and analysis. I respect the views of the elderly man, but let us not give credence to something that no longer exists. It no longer has a standing. The modern state of the Republic of Ghana, the Republic of Togo, and the Republic of Benin has in one way or the other created a configuration in which FOs are comfortable in these countries and do not need to come together anymore in a union. It's like you telling me, because I'm coming from Boku in the Upper East, and in every border town in Ghana, you have a spillover of ethnic communities across the border into the other countries. So in my case, some of my ethnic group, so apart from being in Ghana, some of us are in Burkina, some of us are in Togo. It's like somebody coming with the argument that since we belong to the same ethnic group, but we are now today in 3 different countries, we want to form a union and come together and demand independence. This, in my view, is absolute, I would be very respectful in my language. It borders on the wickedness of holding us at a standstill and holding us not to be able to move forward in what is more important. What is more important is our development today. Now, if you were to ask me to express my personal opinion, as a former government official, Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, my view is very clear. What Africa should be doing is moving more towards one another in integration, harnessing our common resources, working together as a people, and not to hear the history of division being brought upon us to justify unions and why plebiscite should come back in view. I'm not a lawyer, but the plebiscite ended this matter once and for all. And let us move on and stop revisiting what I believe is a sign of retrogression rather than progress.
Now, Dr. Bombande says the human rights of the 31 currently on trial should be respected so the separatists do not capitalize on any abuses to win sympathy for their cause.
What these people are doing is creating, for me, a time-wasting strategy that reinforces how they have nothing to offer but truly just to be factors of destabilization. That is why it's important to re-emphasize that such a perspective makes it incumbent on government not to handle people they have arrested in a manner that gives credence to the misplaced views of these opportunists.
Okay.
And to that extent, therefore, we need to handle this very well so that these opportunists do not say, look at how they are even treating the people they have arrested. Because these 31 people, if I listen to counsel Mr. Donko, should be respected. The other day we spoke, Mr. Donko even talked about how they were not fed. They should be well treated and humanely treated to exemplify that the modern democratic state of Ghana takes care of everybody with fairness and equity.
Meanwhile, government is assuring that efforts are ongoing to contain violent acts of individuals said to be seeking secession of the Volta region of Ghana. Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah says public support is crucial if the situation can be brought under control. Head of our security desk, Gifty Andwapia, has more.
It's been 2 separate attacks in a space of 5 days, and there have been fierce criticism against national security apparatus and how they've handled the matter. Tonight, state authorities here have been trying to give the media some background information on the matters at hand and what is being done about the situation.
And also to provide context to some of the things that we are not able to say publicly on the mass media platforms. And I think that we've had the opportunity to do both while also taking feedback from our colleagues in the media. I think it's been a successful engagement. You get a sense that I think as we are seeing play out, there are many segments of our society that don't have a full understanding of what has transpired and have sometimes even bought into narratives that they may have heard. You heard me even in exchanges with some of the media colleagues about something they thought they had heard, where we challenged and referred them back to the actual, recordings. And then they are also able to express to you some areas where they think some particular action should be taken, and you have an opportunity to also explain why some tact and balance should be brought in, because it's a multifaceted challenge and you've got to deal with it with various instruments. And all in all, like I said earlier, I think it's been a fruitful engagement.
Among others, the sense I'm getting from the state's position for now is to go hard on the people they're now describing as criminals. Engagement does not seem to be on the table. The state says it has the situation under control. The coming days will help all of us determine what becomes of this group whose activities in the Volta region are terrorizing the people there. Gifty Andwapia, JoyNews, Alisa Hotel, Accra.
Now, the minister has also been detailing how to get public support in dealing with the development.
I mean, I'm sure you would tell them that we haven't been trying to tell the media how to do its work. What we've been trying to do is to showcase some of the things that have been going on behind the scenes, the context within which we've been working, what the objective is, why different tactics are used at different points in time, and what sort of collaboration is required across the spectrum, chiefs, political leaders, civil society actors, media actors, so that we can together win. And it is one of the things we need to do in this journey so that we can have a concerted front that will help us succeed. If we don't do that and everybody's shooting from different directions, saying what they have heard or what they think, we come across as though we are not on one page, and that is not helpful to this enterprise.
Should we, as a nation, expect a communicated strategy on how we're dealing with this going forward? It is one of the things that security analysts have actually called for.
Well, I'm sure you also do know that in some of these enterprises, you don't necessarily publish in detail how you intend to go about it, except to say that there are a number of facets that you have to deal with. There are criminal elements that have to be dealt with as pure criminality. There are parts of this enterprise that require education and public engagement to deal with. Like we've said, if you found a young man who has been deceived, that there's a plebiscite that is time-bound and therefore he can join a cause to ask for secession, you can educate him.
Now, the Coalition of Aggrieved Teachers is demanding the payment of their salaries, which have been in arrears since 2012. Some members of the group have picketed the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service. My colleague Manuel Kranting interacted with some of them and sent this in.
Pay us now. We need our money now. That's a call of the Coalition of Aggrieved Teachers. What they are requesting that government releases monies which are in arrears. Speaking to one of the men here, for how long? How long has your money been in arrears?
For 21 solid months. My full salary has been in arrears for full 21 months.
But how did your salary get into arrears? Because we know the government has been saying that it's been clearing the legacy arrears and so on.
Now, what happened was that during those periods, that was 2012 through up to 2016, that was under the previous government. What happened was that they introduced a program that a policy that whoever has an arrears of salary, being it an upgrading, being it a new entrant or whatever, you'll be paid 3 months. Then the rest that you have been owed will be audited. And after auditing, you will be paid. So they tagged that salary legacy arrears. You understand me? So those of us who were having those types of arrears, we have money. It's ranging from reinstatement, reactivation, salary arrears, upgrading, so many categories. You understand? So many categories. What is happening is that they have tagged all the categories of arrears as legacy arrears. Once it was under the previous government, that they are auditing into it before they do pay us.
Away from that, the FOMENA police is citing COVID-19 as a reason for the delay in prosecuting a man who allegedly shot and maimed his wife at Akromaso in the Adansi North District of the Ashanti region last year. Simon Krampa, 36, is accused of shooting his wife several times over suspicion of cheating. Though the woman survived, she lost her right arm and is unable to cater for her 6 children. But close to a year since the incident occurred, the suspect has been on remand in police custody. The FOMENA District Police Commander Superintendent Fee Ochil says the docket has been sent to the Attorney General's office for advice. Anita Sewa Ajoga went to FOMENA and filed this report.
Akuya Safwa, 34, sustained gunshot wounds to the breast, buttocks and arms. She is now left with an amputated right arm with 6 mouths to feed. Today, she takes us on a memory lane to the exact spot in the bush where her husband attacked her with a shotgun over allegations she was cheating.
My husband threatened to kill me with a gun at the farm. I quickly fled into the bush for safety, but he shot at me several times, leaving me unconscious.
Her in-laws have abandoned her because she refuses to yield to their demands to settle the case out of court. She now depends on her aged father and her unemployed brother.
I'm currently unemployed and I depend on my aged dad and unemployed brother. I plead with you to help me.
The suspect, Simon Krampa, 36, was arraigned before the FOMENA Magistrate Court, presided over by Her Worship Cynthia Ajay Andy last year. He has since been on remand. The single-barrel gun he allegedly used in the crime has been sent to the CID headquarters for ballistic examination. FOMENA District Police Commander Superintendent Fee Ochil says prosecution has delayed due to the global COVID-19 pandemic.
Number one, issues come this way. We prepare duplicate dockets and send to Attorney General. They will also study it and, as it were, indicate which charges you should prefer against it and who should be the prosecutor. In most serious cases like this, they themselves prosecute at the High Court. So we are waiting for the advice. But for now, Krampa has been in custody. We are waiting for Attorney General to charge him, but he was taken to court on the charge of attempt to commit murder, which is contrary to Section 48 of our Criminal and Other Offences Act. Yes, the gun, as we speak, is at the CID headquarters, where we are doing the forensic, the ballistic examination. The delays, the first one was about the COVID. The remand prisoners were not allowed to be committed from court. And that one I've told you that just last week the signal came that we can now take them to prisons and to the court. So that one is resolved. Then what also caused the derailment was the victim spent a lot of months at the hospital before she recovered. And then when she recovered too, he was also not prepared to produce the medical report form to us, which is supposed to be added to our duplicate docket. But now we've got all those things and we are waiting for it.
Brother to the victim is appealing to the public for support to feed the 6 children.
I'm currently taking care of my sister's 2 children. I'm pleading with the general public to help my sister.
Anita Sewa Ajoga's report read to you.
This is your election headquarters, and head of the economic management team, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, says depreciation of the cedi has not been at the front burner of the political discourse on the campaign trail lately because the currency has depreciated for only 2% in an election year. Dr. Baumia says sound monetary policies by the Bank of Ghana and the Finance Ministry is responsible for producing what he described as a very splendid result. He said this when he commenced a 4-day tour of the Greater Accra region by visiting the English Yamamfrom and Ablekuma South constituencies.
Focus on macro stability, and many people have taken it for granted, but macro stability is very, very key. How is your inflation? We are bringing down inflation. How is your exchange rate depreciation? We have more than halved the exchange rate depreciation. These days, nobody is talking about exchange rate depreciation, which is a good thing, because for the whole year, in an election year, the whole year so far, the cedi has depreciated by just 2%. 2% for an election year. And this is why you are not hearing a lot about depreciation. And I think we have to thank the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance in terms of the mix of fiscal and monetary policy that is producing this very, very splendid result. Interest rates are down, exchange rate depreciation is down, and exchange rate inflation is down. As you know, we inherited a collapsing financial system. Under the previous government, about 82 microfinance institutions, including TKM, had collapsed. And they didn't pay them any of their deposits. We came in and we saw, an almost meltdown of the financial system. And therefore, we had to quickly move in, the central bank moved in to shut down a number of financial institutions. Otherwise, the whole system was about to collapse. 4.6 million depositors had their monies in that. And those monies were 21 billion Ghana cedis. 21 billion Ghana cedis.
Now, it was the most anticipated contest for Tuesday. 4-time champions Prempeh College came against newcomers Asantehman SHS and 1-time winner St. Thomas Aquinas. The Old Toms put up a fight, but it was not enough to get them past the Amanfour team, which was not only seeded, but gunning once again for the ultimate trophy. JoyNews' PSA Nane Safo has more.
Amanfour, Amanfour, raise your voices loud, raise your voices loud, and sing, Floria's Prempeh College.
It was the battle of 2 former champions of the competition and one school, Asantehman SHS, looking to make history. Even with their face masks, one could tell tensions were rising fast in the hall as the audience of few cheered their schools on to victory. But at the end of 5 rounds, Asantehman SHS had 23 points, St. Thomas Aquinas accumulated 31 points, with Prempeh College standing tall with 49 points, 18 points clear. Contestants of Asante-Man SHS were first to look defeat in the eye with a sense of gratitude.
It was a very good contest our opponents gave to us, and we feel very proud to the stage we have come right now, because we started from nowhere and now we are somewhere. To even get the privilege to compete here, and we thank God for all He has done for us, and we glorify His name.
The Old Toms vowed the disappointment was not going to break them.
Obviously, we expected to do better, but we are not perturbed by the turn of events. We know that we put in the work, and we've actually noticed our shortcomings and our faults and our flaws, and we are definitely going back to the drawing board. And St. Thomas Aquinas is still one of the best schools in Ghana, and God is still an Old Tom.
The winners, Prempeh College, surprisingly had modest goals and assured fans of better performance in subsequent contests.
Feeling excited, at least I've seeded the school, and I know that that's one of the records of Prempeh College. So what was most important for me was the first contest, seeding the school, so that Prempeh would remain part of the last 4 schools that are still seeded in the National Science and Maths quiz.
One contest at a time, and being Prempeh College, there are great expectations from us, and I would say that we should expect the best from us.
The college joins 26 more schools who will have to justify their inclusion into the semi-finals from the highly competitive quarters. How far the Amanfos will go is still a story only time can tell.
Congratulations to Prempeh College and also to Kumasi Academy, who won today's first contest against Mfantsipim School and, of course, St. Mary's Senior High School, beating Mfantsipim there by 18 points. Now, also today, currently ongoing, the first round of the contest between Adisado College, Takwa Senior High School and Bishop Herman College is underway. Adisado taking a 6 points lead with 18 points. Takwa Senior High School and Bishop Herman College tied currently at 12 points. It's all live on JoyNews today. Up next is business.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The country is faced with about 12% youth unemployment, with more than 50% underemployed. That's a disclosure from a new World Bank report. This is both higher than overall unemployment rates in sub-Saharan African countries. Despite major investments by both government and the private sector, the report said this challenge will intensify if job opportunities remain limited. To tackle youth unemployment, the report highlights the importance of having disaggregated data on youth job seekers by location, gender, skills, and capabilities to inform policy and funding decisions. There's also the need to respond with appropriate and tailored employment programs. Another report to bring you: many Ghanaians in COVID-19 affected areas remain uncertain about policies implemented by government to revive the economy. While some believe the country will achieve economic growth in about a year, many think the devastating effects of the virus could linger. A survey conducted by the Ghana Statistical Service revealed local businesses in most communities affected by restrictions may recover, but on a much slower pace. There's more in this report.
The survey, conducted in 2,770 localities in the country from May to June this year, indicates that many of the respondents don't believe that the local economy can be revived within a year. Localities in border districts recorded higher price increases in food and non-alcoholic beverages compared to price surges in lockdown and other districts. Giving out some of the highlights, Professor Kobna Inim disclosed to journalists that despite the interventions by government and other civil society organizations, many border communities were disadvantaged.
Consistent with what we found from the household tracker, what we found from the firm tracker, and indeed what we found from our second quarter GDP, where oil GDP contracted by 3.2% and non-oil GDP contracted by 3.4%. From the local economy tracker perspective, we equally find that production and sales have also gone down, or went down for that matter, during the period of COVID-19. Specifically, we saw border districts getting the highest reduction in sales and getting the highest reduction in production. At least 9 out of 10 localities in border districts indicated a reduction in sales, and at least 7 out of 10 localities in border districts indicated a reduction in their production.
Over 30% of the localities surveyed have no idea when the local economy might recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's the government statistician again.
And lastly, we put the fact that in terms of expected recovery, we saw mixed expectations even within lockdown districts and across lockdown districts and other districts, that is the border district and the other district. Specifically, 45% of the lockdown districts indicated that economic recovery would occur within 1 year, while 30% indicated that it's going to happen more than a year, with 14% indicating that they were uncertain. While in the case of border districts and other districts, we saw more than 35% indicating that they were uncertain on how we're going to experience economic recovery for COVID-19.
The overall response rate for the survey was 96%, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Ebenezer Sabute's report for Joy Business.
A final one for us in this segment. Civil and Local Government Staff Association Ghana (CLOGSAG), in collaboration with Hedge Pensions Trust, has launched the Pimpamsi Fund, a 3-tier contribution by CLOGSAG. This would allow government workers who receive their salaries from the Controller and Accountant General Department plan their retirement without stress. Here's the CEO of Hedge Pensions Trust, Professor Emmanuel Isiama.
I think the fund initiates for government workers, and for that matter, those who derive their salary on Controller Accountant General and those who are on Controller Accountant General payroll. What it is that when you sign up and you decide to contribute, Controller Accountant General will do the deduction, all right, and it is pre-tax. The deduction is pre-tax. And so when you contribute or you sign up and decide to pay whatever percentage that you think, because it's voluntary, it's not mandatory, whatever percentage that you think that you can contribute, that percentage in a sense gives you a particular leverage. So the difference between your actual net take-home and then your take-home that you are getting now, the difference is not all that wide. Why? Because your PAYE or your tax that you pay at the end of the day also reduces. So if it reduces that on that particular same magnitude, your net take-home pay, you don't feel it that much. Also, it gives you an advantage. Just think of it that, look, you are putting the money into, let's say, an investment fund, and every month you have signed up. Even if you have 165 Ghana cedis, at the end of the 10th year, you and I know that it will be difficult at the end of the month to even put that money down, because our expenditure are more.
More business news coming up at the top of the hour. Up next, sports.